Livestock. Livestock. Come and take a seat, girl. You've been working all week and you need to take a break. Let's talk. Let's talk. Come and take a seat, girl. This is what you need. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
I'm telling you, live shows are just everything. They give me life. So glad that you could join us right here for evening tea. My name is Monique Betts.
My name is Lydia KM, and Curly Sue is back.
You look nice.
Thank you.
My name is Dana DeGrazia. Sorry, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, but I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Y'all are just giving me energy.
No, you need this table.
I do.
Everyone needs it.
Really
Like you
this
must
table.
be here.
I'm addicted. I'm addicted.
And just to remind you, if you're watching us at home, the hashtag is Livestock. We'll love it when you talk to us. And we're getting straight into a fantastic show. We've got chit chat on the way and something interesting.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on. We have an incredible guest. I mean, we all know Father's Day is coming.
Yes.
But before we introduce him, we're heading into Hot Talk.
Come and take a seat, girl. This is what you need. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Now, I think we have totally exhausted TZ, love triangles, love circles, love everything. But they are giving us even more. So Harmonize and his girlfriend, I'm not even particularly sure which side we're on. I don't know if they're together. I don't know what's happening. But essentially, his girlfriend has accused him of cheating, okay? He's been sleeping around with other women, etc., etc. To which he replied with, she's insecure if she sees me with another woman, which is the typical cheater's response, no? That you're insecure, it's all in your head, etc.
Yeah.
So after she's angry about that, he then complains about her even being seen with another man, only to go on and make this inappropriate video with none other than our Kenyan own. It's Huda, she's in the middle of it, and they've got this video, they're just being inappropriate as it would, and of course this has ignited huge fire because
We have to see it.
please let's see it.
Take a
We
look.
get to witness it.
I'm so shy. I'm so shy.
This is so staged. First of all, that song is a million years old.
Yeah, I was like, is that Daddy Wap in the background? Like,
I even had to tie up my hair for this because I'm into it. This table brings life. But first of all, this video is 10 years old. Like, or I mean, the song rather.
Yeah.
It's clearly super staged. You know, they're looking at the camera. They want people to see this. You know, I don't think Huda is particularly invested in Harmonize's, you know, healthy relationship or not.
No.
So of course she was fine with this.
And fact about Huda, let me tell you this, if she's not gaining from what I've seen in all her transactions, right now Harmonize, one of his videos just made 10 million views on YouTube in a week. That's the first that's happened for an East African artist. So there's hype around the guy for good reason. So to conveniently see that now Huda is trying to be associated or is associated in some way with a guy, no surprise, no shock. It's staged and it's
I wonder
boring.
who slid into whose DMs in this situation.
I don't know. Two people at the
Monique,
same
what's your
point.
take?
She couldn't watch through the video.
no, I'm just like, does it matter anymore? Anything to get those clicks?
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
anything to be
It's like
relevant and to
clickbait.
be talked about. However, I feel it's unfortunate that people don't care about their reputation more. Huda's been on this table. Sweet girl. I wish people could see more of who she really is. I mean, I think we tapped into something when she came over
Yeah.
on the show. But when I see stuff like that, and I'm like, it's getting old, you know? It's kind of getting old. And I think the fans don't appreciate that. I'm more interested in what have you got in store? What are you releasing? You know, what else are you do? Like, especially on a table like this, let me tell you, we know all the tricks y'all do. All you artists, when you want to be talked about, especially when you know you want to get that East African market going, or he's from Tanzania, she's from Kenya. Oh my gosh, it's going to be magic. They probably sat down in the middle of the night. A session wasn't going well. The lyrics weren't coming through. They're like, what do we do?
Gave each other inspiration.
Whatever. Anyway, Chimamanda, everybody knows her.
Yes.
Amazing,
her.
renowned book writer. She's an author. She recently was on Trevor Noah's show, and she talked about gender equality. Well, her take on gender equality was, you know, kind of unwelcome by some parts. Some people actually said, what? She's a feminist. Why would she say something like that? Well, she was talking about opening doors and why men do not necessarily have to open doors for women. You have to go through the context in which she was speaking about this to understand it better.
Yeah.
I think she was more about be kind to people in general rather than men need to do this. Just yesterday, we were talking about how men feel that, you know, their masculinity is tied to paying bills and opening doors and doing all these things. No, chivalry is not dead, and she's not saying that, you know, men need to stop doing those nice things your father did back in the day and serenading the girls. No, 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 you can do those things. However, that does not define a man. It does not define a man, and I totally kind of get it because there's many other things men can do, and you can actually look at them as this is a good person. I'm going to give you a story, a brief story of one of the dates I went on before I got married, right? This guy was everything, you know. He, this guy, you know, I was young. I was, you know, looking for attention. I mean, I was young, and I dated, and that's how, you know, you're ready to get married. You need to date, you know. And we went out on a date. He pulled a chair, he did everything. He picked me up from my mom's house and everything. My sisters were like, you better be back on time. My brothers were not having it. If it was up to them, I would have never left. But he kind of, you know, presented himself well. And he was always dapper. He was into, you know, the suits and everything. From what I could tell, I felt like he could afford, you know, the day. But he treated everybody in service so badly. He was treating the waiters wrong. He was just not a good person to everybody else. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is not a good person. So I think I get what she's talking about. It's not about men. This is 1 + 1. Men need to do this to become good men. It's not enough. And if yes, you're the kind of guy to open doors, that doesn't quite say that you're a good person.
It absolutely doesn't. And with her, she breaks down feminism to the microscope. So the issue is not don't open my door. The issue is open doors for everyone. And second of all, what she doesn't want is for you to be opening my door because to some weird reason you feel like you are stronger or superior because me, damsel in distress, I can't open my door. That's what she's trying to combat this. And what we talked about, women do things for yourself.
Yes.
Women take care of yourself. You know, this is the idea behind it. I'm a woman, I'm your equal, I can open your door, you can open mine. That's
I got this. And sometimes I could take up the tab and pay the bill.
Why not?
And also like that she demystified what feminism is. Because, you know, there's guys who hear that and they're like, I don't want to hear anything from a feminist, you know. I think you need to just understand the context and understand what it really means. It's just speaking about things that other people wouldn't necessarily speak about, but equality in general. And women are speaking louder and more bolder, and some people, you know, it rubs them off the wrong way. I think she's in a position to speak about this issue and gender equality as a whole, because, you know, she's been standing up for women's rights and everything, but she doesn't come off as, we're the victims. No. We are the ones, we're the wounded birds.
It's important because essentially what she's saying is a big part, I mean, I could talk about feminism all day. I consider myself a feminist.
Really?
You know,
Didn't
absolutely.
know this.
You know, this is, I know, right? Everyone is so shocked. But I think a key to take away here is there's no longer a need to gender actions and to gender objects anymore. Another story that I have is I was reading online of a woman who does like face painting at parties, and a little boy ran up to her and he wanted a blue butterfly, and his mom turned around and said, no, he can't have that. You know, you need to give him something a boy would have. And and so she's like, but he just wants a butterfly. Why is it such a big deal? And she calls over her husband. So of course then the husband's masculinity is like, oh, do you want your son to have a butterfly? You know, do you want him to be seen this way? And so she then painted like a skull and crossbones for the little boy, and then she whispered, she's like, do you want a butterfly somewhere?
Like, I'm gonna slide it
you know, do you want something snuck in? And this woman,
that is so sweet.
This woman got so mad, she actually went to her boss and complained about it. And it's silly to gender things, you know? And as far as something like opening doors, which is such a gendered action, it can be misconstrued as like microaggressions. You know, you can say chivalry is dead, chivalry is alive, but that's not the point. There's just no need to define things by gender anymore. The lines are so blurred.
However, I must point out that you still must open the door.
I don't mind if you
Like
put
you
it in my
must,
chair.
you must. And I'm gonna, you know, I don't know if I'm having a boy or a girl, but whoever it is, there's some things that are gonna apply along the way.
There's going to be respect.
You know, let's respect people.
True.
You know, treat the lady at the cafeteria well. When you're waking up in the morning, you know, treat your classmates well. Be kind to people. Just be a good person. I think that's what she was trying to say. So it's not necessarily open door equals good person. No. So I think that's a brilliant one. It's a hot story right there on our Let's Talk show. Get in on the hashtag. Are you the kind of girl who likes your doors open for you? Or would you actually open a door for a guy?
Why not?
Interesting.
Has he got a broken leg? I mean, what's going on? No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, it's
Yeah,
either way.
you know what, live your truth, right? But
Yeah.
speaking of chivalry, it's interesting. This is a nice segue into the next story. I'm going to struggle with her name. Anerlisa?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, Anerlisa, we all know, very wealthy woman, comes from a background of money, you know, making a name for herself on her own even. But right now she's been in the media and she's been in the public side for a nasty breakup. She broke up with this guy and now they're just having a battle. His name is Don. They're just having a social media battle, essentially. And
They made a good couple.
Yeah, they did. He is selling her stories, however, though, for $20,000, you know, for $20K. And so
Desperate times.
Yeah, I mean, when he loses the honeypot, of course, he's trying to get that back. So she's like, why are you selling my life to these people? I took better care of you than this. You know, what are you doing? Then he fires back with accusing her of being bisexual or a lesbian. So of course she fires back with, well, the only reason I would ever go with a woman is because you didn't satisfy me.
Are the kids in bed?
Yeah.
Are the kids in bed? Can we talk about it? We have
Right
receipts.
now,
We
let's
do.
the receipts before we go on.
Quote, so someone is selling my story for 20K because I dumped them. At least my upkeep for you was higher, she said. Completely peeved, she refuted the ungracious rumor stating that there were nothing but pure lies. Also, she informed her former bae he did not play her whenever he asked. He did not play her whenever he asked for money. She was more than glad to dish it out. The last was once spotted in the company of a buff, chocolate-skinned man days after dumping her former lover, Don DK.
The last.
I thought that's why I read it again. I was like, huh? Right, cool. She said, and if at all I dumped you for a lesbian, your bedroom skills must have been poor, she wrote. She stated her jilted ex was selling false stories about her to the media, but did not bother her as the money she used to spend on him was more than what he receives from the blogs. I don't know, I'm just going to make this like Lady Thursday, but I mean, when somebody is trying to play the low, you know what Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. You know, there's a way we see you anyway. This is an ugly person who's trying to sell these stories and everything like that. You don't need to talk outside of yourself and say things like he wasn't good in bed, and it gets ugly, and once it gets ugly, everyone is smeared. I can imagine the frustration and the aggravation of somebody who you love doing this to you, but I mean, if she hadn't said anything, this wouldn't be a conversation because we don't know him, who even cares.
And it's a good point that you make, because the thing is even if you hit someone and you're mudslinging, even if you hit the person with this mud, you still also end up dirty, you know?
I don't care who she's vibing with or what she likes to eat.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there's good news and bad news.
Bad news first,
The
always.
bad news is this stuff is all over the internet, and your name is tied to it because you responded. You could have ignored it, and he could have been a crazy
could've
person, another crazy
faded
person,
away.
another person trying to get a little bit of attention. And the good news is good riddance. You finally know what this person was really about. Like, don't miss him. Don't.
I say trim the fat.
This is someone you should have never been with in the first place, because people tend to show you who they really are. So if you ever had a couple of tears, missing him and doing karaoke in the shower because of this, they look good, but no. Goodbye.
On to the next one.
On
Yes.
to the next one. Now, our matatu culture Matatus in general. We are always talking about them, and there's nothing ever good that we say about matatus. But this time, we are talking about matatus in a whole different context. Muranga County, watu mko wapi? So, there has been thieves of livestock. Now, to us, that's like, it just seems a little far-fetched, stealing cows, like, why are you doing that? But in this Muranga village, livestock is their livelihood. So there has been thieves of 7 men who seem to be going around stealing livestock, and get this, they are transporting them via matatus. Why they're doing that? They just feel so free and will to be stealing these cows that they can just steal them via matatus. Now the police, the head of police, he was invited there because these people in a county, in a village of 400 people, only 10 people are actually raising livestock because of how bad this has gotten. It's actually not funny, to be honest, because my grandparents are farmers and they have livestock. Please save your comment. I know how you feel about that. But to them, that's a really big deal, and I feel really bad about this. Let me read receipts. So police have arrested 5 suspects, sorry, it was 5, not 7, cattle thieves in Godoro village in Kandara, Muranga County. The Kandara OCPD, Wilson Kosgei, said the suspects were arrested on Sunday night while transporting a stolen dairy cow. He said the village is prone to the cow theft that the residents claim is perpetrated by a gang of 7. The gang allegedly transports the stolen cows via matatus. Just like anything else, it's your phone, it's your clothing, it's your whatever, it's mine. You shouldn't have any privy to it. Theft is theft. It's only a little funny because the cow's being transported in matatus, but it's still just as serious as any other theft.
And not only that, I think further into the story, they talk about butchers, because one of the thieves was a butcher actually, who's selling the meats. And the important thing about this is that meats and cows do have to be approved in some way for health reasons.
Yes.
So they could also be jeopardizing the health of the entire village. So we have another receipt, and I think that goes deeper into what I'm saying.
Okay, so quote, I was transferred to this place less than a month ago, and I have received...
This one is better,
right, okay.
Much shorter.
Quote, the Kabati area is known for all the wrong reasons, for the theft of Del Monte pineapples to the theft of avocados and highway robbery. The police must act swiftly whenever they are called upon, but it seems some of my officers are in a comfort zone. With that comfort zone, do you know people getting their phone robbed and laptops and things like that? It's like a culture. It's like we've accepted it. No one reports it. We just kind of move on. There's a culture of people kind of taking advantage of others.
There is no justification for this, but I like that the spotlight is on this because these are the stories that don't make headline news.
Yeah.
These are the stories
But
that are
still
like,
impact.
here's your county roundup. You know, they put that story down there. So I like that that's coming to light, and how they're ferrying this. This sounds like gold, you know? They're willing to do literally anything to make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a nice script for a low-budget African movie.
I feel
Right.
Like
so.
you could
like
do a movie out
a
of this.
Lifetime movie, an
Yeah.
Hollywood thing.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I like that this is actually being
Cow
talked about because it's
mafia.
actually happening. Those are some of the stories that you never get to hear. I mean, I didn't even know anything like this was happening.
And the impact of it on people's
All
lives
right.
is intense.
Local musician, and of course, I'd call him one of Kenya's legends.
Yeah.
Nonini. He's been around for a minute, but we're not talking about his music this evening. We're talking about the fact that he wants to sue Safaricom because of copyright infringement. This has happened more than once. These stories have happened more than once, but I like how boldly he's stating, giving facts and, you know, a detailed story on how, you know, they try to pull out one of his lyrics to use it for something that they were trying to do. I know Scanner Group is involved in this because they reached out to him wanting to use one of his lyrics for a promotion and the campaign that they were having. And he actually gave them a quotation and said, this is how it's going to go. But of course, he used his team and his label and, you know, his people.
Yeah.
They go back to them because that's how it works. I believe this is a very professional person. I am interested to see how this story unfolds. But for the longest time, people have taken creatives and musicians and, you know, everybody who's, you know, trying to earn a living doing stuff like this. You know, we've got actors who've come here. We've got musicians, songwriters, guys, you know, trying to pitch scores and stuff. And people tend to use their stuff and treat it like it's nothing. So Nonini is kind of flipping the script. It's not a privilege to have that just being used just for the sake of it. You have to pay. And if you do not do the right thing, then we're going to expose you and bring the story out. And I like that there's receipts for this particular one as well.
Right. So Nonini says that Scanad Africa, a digital marketing agency, wrote to his team on behalf of Safaricom asking to use the said lyric to advertise the 1 GB data bundle valid for 24 hours. His manager, he says, then wrote back to the agency with a quoted amount of money the telco world have to part with. But the agency later informed him that Safaricom could not afford to pay the rights to the lyrics. A day later, Noni, who's 35, what does that say? Divulges that Safaricom ran the advert, including lyrics from his song Manzi wa Nairobi, without his consent. Quote, "This is the don't care attitude that musicians face in this country, where intellectual property is taken advantage of by corporates time and time again. They have to be held accountable at some point," he says. I am completely with him. There's accountability. I've created something. This is mine the same way Safaricom, your company, is your company. And I can't do anything with it without your consent. First of all, for Safaricom to say you cannot afford it, today alone, you made enough to afford
I
this
think if
month.
you can afford it, I think if you can't afford it,
believes
leave it
you.
alone. I think if you can afford it, leave it alone. Find something else. You know, find something that you can afford. But to proceed
Anyway.
and continue to use somebody's creative work, I think that's disrespectful. And it means that this has happened to many other people. Who knows what other artists are out there that do not have Nonini's voice and, you know, they can't be heard. Everyone's going to dismiss them. When you think about how old this song is and the fact that they're still interested in it,
It says how the impact of
exactly. But you know what? Pay for it. Pay for it or leave it alone. He gave you a quotation. He said, this is what it's going to cost you. You can have it, but you know, you choose to do it anyway. I think it's disrespectful, as he said. And I think for the longest time, people don't take such matters very seriously. Because I feel when it comes to other sectors, people have contracts. People have, you know, frameworks that are respected and work, and you know, you've got lawyers involved and they draft it out and you can use whatever you want to use. But for the longest time, creatives, and this is what we were talking about yesterday with our guests, like, are you ready for what's happening? It's stories like these that make you kind of think, do I want to get into this right now? But I like that he's a champion for this, and he, you know, we're rooting for you. Want to see how this story unfolds, and we'll be giving you updates right here on the show. But first things first, we need to take a commercial break. We've got a fantastic guest who's going to join us on the show. Don't move a muscle.
Let's talk. Come and take a seat, girl. This is what you need. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Come and take a seat, girl. This is what you need. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Welcome back. Oh, so much lined up right here on the show for you. Plus, we are not alone. We're joined by renowned... First of all, this guy needs no introduction. Everybody knows who he is. It is Daddy Owen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You look like you're about to take over some African country.
I'm shocked. There's tea. There's tea in this cup.
I never understand why people are shocked by it. Like,
I always think that you guys just sip a cup.
No. Especially if you look like this, we have to respect you and serve you a nice hot
you're
cup.
the first person to get real tea. Oh my God.
I don't want
No, there's always tea. We have to put it out there right now. If you're watching the show and you're always wondering what this is, no, we really are sipping on something. Yes.
So when am I invited again? Because I love tea.
You do.
Listen, Daddy Owen, you can come anytime to this show.
And to make it worse, just black tea. I love black tea. Man.
Yes,
How did you
perfect
know?
for this weather. No, we just kind of looked at you and your whole get up. We were like, you know what? I think
black tea kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a black tea kind of guy.
Shades indoors.
It's perfect. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm
Yeah.
honored to be here.
You know, it's Father's Day weekend, and you know, a lot of people are starting off really early. Some people are talking about the World Cup. Other people are talking about how long the weekend's going to be. But most importantly, we want to celebrate dads, new dads, dads, that have adopted children, adoptive dads, and it doesn't matter what kind of father you are. We want to celebrate you, and what better guest to have right here tonight than Daddy Owen,
himself,
the real daddy,
the real daddy.
yeah, the real daddy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about music and fatherhood and balancing it all. When you started off, your brother was doing music before you were. Did you ever think you'd be doing music and still being a parent?
Okay, well, when you start off, you always just think here. You always think, I want to be a star, I'm a star, everyone is looking at me as a star and all that.
Yeah.
But you never know that it reaches a point now, things change. Like for me right now, so many people don't know, I have a 7-year-old boy.
Wow.
My 7-year-old boy, now he's telling me he wants to become a musician. And I'm like, no.
Is he wearing shades in the house?
Man,
Is
a
he
big
actually?
change.
Oh my goodness.
Taking the
He's
hats,
like,
everything.
man. So everywhere we go, and people greet me, he's like, so they know you. I'm like, no, they're my friends. No, they know you because you sing. No, you're a musician, right? I'm like, no, I don't want you to be a musician. I want you to be a footballer. Just stick to that.
But how can you be so certain about that? Because that's interesting, because a lot of people in the music business do not want their children to be part of the music business. Is there a particular reason why? And football?
Yeah.
Okay, for me, it's different because I think music is so challenging. We put on a facade that so many people don't see. And sometimes it's not, okay, apart from me just doing gospel music, if I was just doing any other music, right now I would have quit by now. I'll not be doing this anymore. I will not be doing this anymore, to be honest.
How come?
It's really hard. Music is really hard. As much as it looks like there's this lights, camera, action going on you and all these things. On a personal level, it's really hard. You go home, sometimes you're so drained, you're like, okay, when will I get that new hit song? You understand? Because sometimes it's the fans who determine where you're headed, not you. Unless now you reach that point, you're like, okay, now what I want, I just want to be effective. Understand? Because you see, when you're still an upcoming artist, all you're looking for is maybe a hit song. And if you can tell even international right now, you see people like Avicii killing themselves. You understand? You see, if you look at their lives, even MJ before they died, if you look at their life, they entered into a cave. Because you want to be famous, but now when that fame comes, it comes with a lot of baggage that you're not ready for. And it figures the point is like you're a property. Your fans own you. Your fans believe now you need to do this. Your fans believe now you don't need to dress like this. Like for me, when I cutted my white hair, everyone was like, why did you remove the white hair? And I remember like 5 years ago when I put it on, everyone's like, man, what is that?
Yeah.
You understand? So it's not easier. Like, you see, a footballer is different. You're playing in a team. It's not.
I was waiting for you to get into the footballer thing, and I was like,
you're playing in a team. You see, a footballer, you can be prepared. You go to an academy, they can structure you. Music has no structure.
Especially on a continent like this.
There's no structure in music. Music, unless you're doing those things like you want to be a ballerina, you want to be playing those orchestra and all these things. But now what we do, there's no like a script to it. Each and every day, everything is changing. Today you release a song, they say it's too slow. Tomorrow you release a song, they say it's too fast. You understand? Everything is changing. As in, the fans can decide now we just want to listen to Nigerian music.
Like
So
You can't force them.
let me ask, because I mean, after that question, I'm just wondering, so you really think the pressures of an athlete are easier than
It's not
that of a
easy.
musician?
It's not easy, but
Yeah.
it's structured.
more structure.
So
It's
that's
more
the main thing.
structured.
So
So
what
I
if,
think
what
you're
if your
probably
son
weaned
goes into
into
a
it.
band, though? What if he decides to be on
But you
a
see,
team?
the difference is
Yeah.
music in a continent like where we are right now,
Yeah, of
we are
course.
the pioneers. Maybe we'll change it. Maybe he'll find it in a different state. But right now, my mindset is still with what I found
Yeah.
existing.
I kind of get him, because I think his reservation comes from a loving place. It's more like, you know what?
And
There are many other things. I know this is what you're seeing. I know this is what you've seen Daddy do, but there's so many other great things you can be out there. But I know there's a lot of people who think everything for you has just happened, you haven't hustled a single day of your life. Take us back a little bit for Throwback Thursday.
I've been here 15 years. 15 years, 15 good years. And I remember when I started, it was really tough. It was, you see, for us, there was no platform for us to perform.
Yeah.
We had to create our own platforms. There was no radio station which was playing our music. They didn't understand what we were doing. There was no church which could accept an artist to come on stage and perform wearing a jeans. You understand? So we were like, where do we belong? Like, you see, unlike now, so many artists find there's so much platform, as in there's radio, there's TV. You can create your own platform. You can create your own TV on YouTube. For us, there was nothing. You have content, you have good music, you have a good message you've recorded, but no one will play it because not because it's bad, but they didn't understand what is this. Because the only radio station that was working at that moment, an FM station that was big, was Capital. And they just tell you exactly, as this is not our type of music. And you can't blame them. You understand? Not because your content is not good, but it's like, this is not what
Our people.
Our people can't relate to it.
Yeah.
So you're like, you're left with your music.
Then what?
Then what? You understand? So the difference now, an artist can come to and decide to say, now I'm a musician. They can only have one song and they become so big and their life changes. For us, it took us like 6 or 7 years before you became now a household name.
Yeah. Wow. You have just made the music industry like so scary for myself and anyone else.
Especially after that Nonini story.
I'm like,
on,
what?
Right?
On Hot Talk.
And then imagine
But
dealing with that and a kid.
Here's the thing,
Yes.
but you are here and you made it, right? Let's talk about what it is that you feel personally you had in yourself or in your life that made you sit here as Daddy Owen. Why?
I had to be, number one, I had to be real with myself. I had to go somewhere and have a serious conversation with this guy. Now, Owen Mwatia, having a conversation with Daddy Owen.
Yes.
You understand?
Okay, yeah.
Because you see, when I step on stage like this, Owen Mwatia dies off.
Yeah.
It figures a point, Paka, you forget Owen Mwatia exists.
Okay.
But now the real person is Owen Mwatia. But the industry is making you to kill Owen Mwatia. And Owen Mwatia is the one who has the brains, who is there in the background, who can say, now this is too much. I don't need to do this show. I don't need to do this interview. You understand? So when I had a conversation with myself, I decided the most important thing I want to do right now, I just want to be effective. And it worked. Because you see, sometimes you're chasing fame and money. But the most important thing is when you become effective, fame and money is as a result most of the time. Kuna social media people, they use it in a different way. But for me, I believe most of the time, fame and money is a result of being effective. Most of the time.
True.
The others who can argue, socialists can argue about
of course.
that.
But you should come back for that conversation.
You should.
Them, they can argue. But for me, I believe the moment you become effective in whatever field you are in, the moment you just become effective, fame and money will follow.
So how did having a son impact being effective for you?
Okay, for me, number one, I used to do things without caring about how what I've done on stage will impact someone who is off stage. You understand? But when I took my son, there was talent show, you know, in his school. And when someone was performing, and my son went home and wanted to be like that guy, I knew, wow, this is the effect of what I do on stage. You understand? So if that person was doing bad things on that stage, my son will come home with the same mentality.
But you know, Owen, you're like probably the only artist who thinks
Who
like
can
that.
think like that?
Everyone else
understands
is
the
everyone else is
consequence.
probably thinking, if it gets me a couple of clicks, if I'm trending, especially the word trending, I'm sorry. This year, I'm done with that word. If I'm trending, or it's stuff like that, superficial things. Is it also the fact that you're a gospel artist, and not just a gospel artist, but your spirituality is intact, that's what is the essence of your creativity? Do you think that has also played a role in the kind of artist you are?
I think so. And more so, we live in a world whereby we believe something that is popular is the truth. we confuse truth and popularity.
Very
Huge
true.
misconception.
You understand?
Yeah.
Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's true. We live in a world whereby the corporates can tell you, if we didn't see it, it didn't happen. If we didn't see you performing in a show somewhere, then you're not big. So you go home wondering, should I change my kind of music? Should I start just posting stuff for people to see I exist? But at the end of the day, you ask yourself, you know, the internet never forgets.
Yeah.
My son is 7. In the next 10 years, he'll be 17.
Gosh, that's
Whole grown man.
You understand? You'll see all these things.
Absorb
So
everything.
one thing you always forget is whatever I'm posting right now, my son will get in the next 5 years. He'll get it.
Yeah.
Understand? So should I change my life to impress these corporates who say, if we didn't see it, it didn't happen? Or should I consider the next generation, whereby the next generation, you see, Kitambo used to talk about the next generation like it's a superficial thing. It's like you are the next generation. But now you're like, the next generation is my son.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's coming.
It's true.
He's on his way. Us, it took us like 30 years to have a smartphone. Them, the next
It's a
few years,
plaything.
You
It
understand?
is, for real.
So if you're not careful, whatever you're doing right now can never be deleted.
It can't. It's
Never.
true. Once it's out there in the internet,
Never.
And you have to be responsible for
You
it
have to
years
own
down the
it.
line.
Yeah.
You have to own it. So such things make me think of not only my son, but the generation around him. You understand? And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not chasing popularity.
you're not.
I
You
just
know,
want
the
to
more
be
you
effective.
speak, and then maybe that's why you could be a really good pastor. The more you speak, the more I feel like I'm sucked in, and I want to chat for
You're
hours
like,
because I,
"This is
I
so
believe
good."
you. I believe you, because a lot of people will be discouraged with by what you're saying, and they'll have the argument of, okay, but good people finish last. What does it cost me to just put a couple of crazy things out there and still get that visibility?
Be
I want to be like
noticed.
Daddy Owen, but I'm not Daddy Owen. So it's interesting that you talk about this, because we had another guest yesterday who was talking about almost the exact same thing as a female artist. And truth be told, we really have to take that accountability and know that we're responsible for some of the things that are out there. But I like that you brought in the corporates, who again, in our hot talk story, you know what they still did. I mean, they'll still do what they're gonna do.
Yes,
Do you ever feel the pressure to just get into some sort of statistic? If they're looking for this thing, and then you strategically place yourself for that, release a song in time for this,
Fit the
be seen
mold.
somewhere for that. Do you ever do those little things?
Okay, that is one thing that guys sometimes say Daddy Owen is not cool because he does not do this. You understand? Like for me, I always tell guys, I'll only associate my brand with a brand which I believe we can do the same thing together. If we can't, I don't need to. You understand? Because at the end of the day, corporates don't care about you. They care about the fire that is on you right now.
Right now.
Which will make them
Right now.
money.
Right now.
Where can you take
Right
them?
now. The moment, that's why you never hear there's a brand ambassador forever. They'll sign you for this year because you're hot.
Yeah.
After that, they'll move to her.
And you'll
They'll
be
be
left
like,
behind.
you understand?
It's
You'll
They'll be
left
like, we
behind.
need longer
And
hair.
it's not like
They're like, Lydia, come on board.
You understand?
And then you need tattoos and they'll come back to me.
You understand? So that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's how, at the end of the day, you need to grow up and understand this is what these guys do. You understand? They always say every generation cries for their own king. Every generation say, we want a king who has tattoos like us. We want a king who... You understand? Every generation will cry for their own king.
Yeah.
So a corporate will give them a king
Yeah.
and tell them, now, Calligraph Jones is your king.
Look how
Give them
intently you
money.
were listening.
No, I'm sucked in.
I don't know if it's the voice. You're an incredibly impactful speaker. I don't know if
Yes.
anyone through the
But to
camera
be
can
fair,
feel it.
You're dropping some serious knowledge. You're saying
Some
some
truth
things
on this
which,
table.
like
should be
maybe
passed
us
Owen or
who we're
something.
not in music, sometimes we do see in people and we're just you see people doing things and you're like, you know, and they thinking about their sons. We see fathers like
Yes.
you who are not really as responsible about what they're putting out there or what they're doing. It's, if it's hot, it's hot.
Yeah.
You've got sunglasses indoors, which is like a thing for me.
No, when you arrive,
The sun
when you
never
arrive and you can speak like that and
Yeah.
command the room, you can rock those
I
glasses.
am working really hard to get to this place, right? Now, of course, I'm sure your children, they look at you and they're just like, Daddy. Are you the cool dad or are you the discipline? Are you like this guy? No, this is right, this is wrong. Or are you like the cool guy? It's all good.
Okay, my son looks at me in a very different way because one thing is sometimes I must get down to his level, whereby there are things which he knows he wants to do this to become cool, but I'm like, I must dilute it for you. You understand? So that you can consume it. Because there are things, like we have a secret handshake with him. You understand?
Oh,
what
you're the
we
cool
do.
dad.
Yeah.
Point blank. Cool dad.
Done.
You understand?
Yeah.
So when I discipline him, at the end of the day, after that, we'll do the handshake. You
It
know?
looks very intricate the way
I want to be in their house just to see
He'll
how
be
that
like,
goes.
he's still my dad.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's still my dad.
Still
Yeah.
loves me.
He still loves me.
Yeah.
The love is still there.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Like, I don't think you did, but what kind of parenting did you receive in order to be that
Mine
kind of
was
parent?
really different.
Really?
I remember even I really struggled to be a dad. Let me just be very honest. I really struggled in the first year. It was really tough because my dad, rest in peace, my dad, I never grew up with my dad. I grew up in Shags, in Kakamega. He was working in Nairobi. But it was because he had to work so hard, because we were so many, we were like 8. So he had to work so hard to make sure that all of us go to school. So most of his time, he was in Nairobi and was in Ushago. So we would go even 3 years without seeing our dad. You understand? So he was never there as my mom. You understand? So at the end of the day, I didn't see it as a big thing, I'm a big deal at that moment. Because everything was normal, because when you're exposed to something, you always believe that's the best.
That's the norm. Yeah.
That's the norm. So when now my son, my wife Farida was like, now I want you to mentor your son. You see, when they are babies, it's not a big deal.
Yes.
But the moment they start talking, the moment they want to be like you, they want to walk like you, they want to go buy maziwa with you, that's when you know now these are grown up. Now this kid, a few years, and let me break it down. It's only now I can enjoy that moment with my son. Because the moment they pick up preteen, you're not cool anymore. After that, they'll disappear. They'll only value you when they reach now 20-something. It's when now they'll be like, I miss my dad, but in between, you're not cool anymore. So I maximize right now.
On these moments.
Yeah, I maximize. I must drop him to school. I must pick him. You understand? When he comes at home, even if homework sometimes is really hard, but I'm like, yeah, let's do it. You understand?
Yeah.
Just to maximize, because it's the only moment now he can really appreciate who you are. Because when he'll figure a moment now, he'll be like, I want to go to my room.
You
It's
think
true
he's
that those teen
watching now?
years.
You understand? Yeah? You see, there's nothing you can do at that.
Yes.
Do you understand? You're not cool anymore. It's not that you're not cool, but you don't. There's a detachment that comes natural.
It's a natural
Yeah.
thing.
You want him to
Everybody knows that you're expecting another baby.
Yes.
Are you excited? And I just want to put it out there. We will get on the hashtag Father's Day, whatever, but I sometimes tend to feel that young dads are not appreciated enough because around me, maybe it's the circle of dads that I'm around, there's a lot of hands-on dads. I mean, I didn't have a dad my dad, just thinking about him, just gives me shivers because he was really like strict. Again, may his soul rest in peace. But my father was not, he was more of logic, no emotion, get it done, what do you need? Yeah, he was like that. But now you see dads at the supermarket with their kids, you know, cool dads, you know.
The vet.
Mr. Vet. No, but there's a lot of young dads doing a lot, and I just feel like one weekend is not enough to celebrate the dads out there. What encouragement do you have to young dads, especially dads who, as you said, people have this idea that people born dads or born moms or born parents, and they know exactly what they're doing. What would you say? Because sometimes you could be a dad at 20. You could be a dad when, you know, life happens.
Yeah.
What words of encouragement would you give?
I think we need to understand that the moment you become a dad, something changes in you. And when it changes in you, it means even you take responsibility the same way as the mother. It's only that now the mother is extra attachment because the kid, of course, was in the womb and all these things.
Yeah.
But the love, the affection, and like for me, even the emotions. My son can just look at me and know, hey,
It's not a good day.
it's not a good day. He can, you understand? And at the end of the day, my wife always feels like my son, anajuanga the dad. Hey, when the dad is mad, that day is a bad day, more than the mom. You understand? So we take full responsibility. And I know so many dads out there who, even if I don't know their children, but when we meet, they always start talking about their kids, their children. You understand? It means there's something in them. Not like long ago, people never talk about.
Oh, you don't talk.
Family at
You
all.
understand? But nowadays, even if you're hanging out somewhere, guys, you like, someone will just drop a line like, hey, my daughter. Yesterday, my daughter Angeline was doing what. You're like, this guy is proud of the daughter.
Do you think?
And
Do you think the
immediately-
young dads are going to be watching the games at home during the World Cup? Do you think the dads are going to be at home with their families watching the games?
Of course,
It'll be a family event. They'll try and make it a family event.
they'll try because like for me, I must watch with my son because now I want him to be a footballer.
It's out there.
You say,
Like,
look at
watch.
this. Don't you want to do this? Look on TV. Don't you want to be this winner?
Yeah.
My son knows Cristiano Ronaldo, knows Messi. There, you understand? You must. You understand? So at the end of the day, we take responsibility as well. And where I come from, it's so shameful to talk about your wife being pregnant.
Really?
And here we are all like,
First of all, your wife is glowing. I'm in this journey, yeah, and I don't have time. I don't even know if I can have people around me. Just coming to work and getting. The
table
reality
and
is,
done.
it is a challenge. But I also have to applaud the men who support the women through this journe, and you know they make it.
We
They
drag
make
you
it.
through it too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I know. Even for her, she was really tired, and her friends were planning to throw a baby shower for her.
Yeah.
But they were taking long, and I was like, I'm the one who knows her well. Let me surprise her with a baby
Did you?
shower.
You actually did
I'm
it?
the one who
Done.
planned
No.
everything.
Cool dad,
Everything,
cool
everything.
sunglasses, cool husband, you name
Everything
it.
from the everything, and even some of our friends were like, "Hey, men don't do these things."
Now this is the Daddy
But
Owen.
Daddy
no one
Owen
did.
does.
Daddy Owen knows about
But
this.
I was like, I know my wife. She likes this theme to be like feathers. She likes sequinte balls. You know, she likes glamour.
So you
Y-
didn't hold back on anything.
did.
We're going to make this as girly as possible.
You
It's
understand?
her
The
day.
queen's chair. You know, all those things. I know her. You
Mr.
understand?
Bet
So I was
and
like,
Mr.
even her
Fancy,
friends, I
no.
don't know if they'll do the baby shower to the level that she wants it to.
Yeah.
So I was like, girls, please just come and appear.
Come and appear. Wow,
Just
I love
attend.
it.
Just make sure you have a white dress. Come and attend.
I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
And I feel like we've kind of entered into your world a little bit more, a little deeper, because you know you've got your stalkers on social media. They'll get in there, they think they know you. But I feel, because I've known you for a couple of years.
Yes.
But today I feel like, oh my gosh, you're like really cool. You're like cool, and you said you've got 8 siblings. You're like 8.
Yeah, we are 8. We are 8. I'm the third born.
Yeah.
Our first born, she's called Lois. Then Rafton, of course.
Yes.
And then me, and then my small sister called Joyce. It's weird. In our family, we have 2 chicks called the same name.
Oh, okay, why? Explain it to the foreigner. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, my dad had 2 wives. So my mom was the first wife, and then there was a second wife. So my mom, in our tradition, you must name one of your daughters the name of your grandmother, the name of the grandmother.
Yeah.
So one of my sisters is called Joyce Makonjio Mwatia. So even the second wife, when she had a daughter, she was named the same name, Joyce Macron, Joe Monte. So it's so weird because when in the house, when you say Joyce, all of them say,
Yeah, what do you do?
You come from an interesting family, and I can tell that the future for you is even more exciting. I can't wait for this baby to arrive.
We'll
And
have to have
we're
you back.
sending love to your beautiful wife. Like we see you guys, you're an inspiration to young couples. And of course, the 7-year-old boy. Listen, if you want to really sing, honestly, go for it. Don't listen to Daddy. Don't. It's not as bad as it sounds.
Do it.
Music is not too bad. Daddy Owen, thank you so much for coming. Ah, you were just amazing. How awesome was that chat?
Thank you so much.
And you came in with the sunglasses and
So he
I was
has
just
to
like-
sing. He
Yeah,
has
I have
to
my
sing
reason
for
why
us.
I'm-
You
I
kind of
wear
already
sunglasses,
came
but
with
it's
the
okay.
vibe. You should actually.
No, I
Please sing us
I can
out.
sing today.
I think the manager was like,
Not yet.
no,
Not today.
Not today.
You don't want to sing.
I'm here to have
sign up?
tea.
okay, that's nice. So I'm glad you enjoyed your tea. And of course, we want to wish you an early Father's Day. I know after that baby shower, you have something special planned, or your wife is going to pay back with something more interesting.
Yes, Farida, are you here?
She has to one up
Farida.
you. Is the
Yes.
problem?
Can you hear this, Farida?
Farida.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic guests as always. We promise you nothing but the best every single Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 6 p.m. to 7. And Kesha, we have another amazing guest. You don't want to miss it. Today's chat. Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Father's Day is coming in hot.
Just see you, Kesha. God bless.
You've been working all week and you need to take a break. Let's talk. Let's talk. Come and take a seat, girl. This is what you need. Let's talk. Let's talk.